Hello YouTube, this is Ebon Kim. This time I'm going to go over a little bit to help the Justice Democrats movement. Um, I'm not necessarily optimistic about it. I would go for a different type of war against our political system. So I don't want to really explain the Justice Democrats movement by simplifying it. I don't want to dumb it down. I want to smarten it up so you can actually go look at it yourself. I'll provide links to sources as with all my videos. So I'll play a little bit about what Kyle Klinsky of Secular Talk says about it, and I'm going to offer some strategic advice. At least this one would be strategic flaws. So, without further ado, here's a little snippet.
There's a new kind of opposition to Justice Democrats that I want to address for everybody today. I want to talk directly to you about this kind of stuff. So we already know who our enemies are, by and large. You know it, I know it. It is the Republicans. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean that, anything they do by definition we will oppose, because that's shutting your mind off and not being intelligent. So, if Trump, for example, wants to do an infrastructure bill, let's do that. Let's sit down and iron it out. He said 1,000,000 times, I'm going to protect Social Security and Medicare.
Okay, so I'm going to let you go ahead and watch the rest of it. It's 19 minutes long. I don't want to play the whole video for you. So let's talk about some potential issues. I'm an ally. I'm a supporter of it. I don't think it'll work, but to help you out, these are some suggestions from my strategic point of view. If you watch any of my videos, if you're not going to accept help, you're already in trouble. So I'm providing free help. Okay. So there are two strategic flaws that I'm going to focus on right now because they are very important flaws that need to be worked upon. Okay. The first one is you guys are focusing on 1/3 of the battle. And what I mean by 1/3 of the battle is the first battle is primaries for the Democrats, your Justice Democrats. Okay. So if you lose the battle in the primary, you automatically lose the actual race against the Republicans, right? The main voting race. So your odds are low by losing. Okay, so suppose you win. Suppose you get a Justice Democrat winning the Democratic primary. They also have to race against the opposition, whether it's an independent party or if it's the Republicans. So that's another thing you need to worry about. And so you have two chances to win it, right? You got not only do you have to win the Democratic primary, you actually have to win the actual race. And so you can't just be Justice Democrats. If you want to double the odds of getting this movement in the correct direction and winning, you need Justice Republicans. Now, how does that work? Well, you have to find common ground with Republicans. There are probably a good many voters who are Republicans that don't necessarily tout everything in the Republican platform. You know, you can share what you have. Find Republicans who share the same platform, at least some of the platform of the Democratic Justice Democrats, right? That way you have a Justice Democrat running against a corporate Democrat. You've got Justice Republican running against a corporate Republican. So if you win you get a Justice Republican to beat out a corporate Republican, and you lose, and so they're running against a corporate Democrat, you still have a chance to win. It may not be the best thing because maybe you're definitely wanting more of a Democratic platform, but at least you're getting the corporate opponents out because, I mean, one side wins, get the corporatists out, you might have a better chance of gauging how well they're going to do against the opposing party because you'll see how many votes were in the primary against the opposing Republican, corporate Republican, by having a Justice Republican in there. Okay? I mean, for example, let's look at this, right? The approval ratings of Congress were low, but I mean, 10% approval ratings, but you got like 98%, 93% reelected. So there's a big battle, and you can't do it by just trying to win on one side. You have to fight on both sides. So hopefully that's taken to heart, and you need to adjust your strategic plan to cover all bets. Okay, so the second part is you also need independent voters. Independent voters make up, let's see, I did a Google search, and I want to show you registered. I did a Google search on registered voter independent. So Gallup announcement saying independents now make up 42% of the voting electorate. That's not necessarily going to go on the Democratic side. They could be voting for someone who's more libertarian, or they might just actually go towards some Republicans. Maybe they'll go more for Justice Republicans than they will for Justice Democrats. So you need to cater to what the independent voters are looking for. And the platform that you have for Justice Democrats, I think that's going to actually cater to most independents. But you need to figure that out. That's another big part of the battle. Getting 42% of voters to vote on either side, right, is powerful. They could vote on the Justice Democrat side, they could vote on the Justice Republican side. That is a very, very powerful base that you really need to reach out for. Okay, so that's the first strategic flaw. You can't just fight 1/3 of the battle and expect to win it. Now, the second battle is also pretty tough because you're going to be fighting corporate media, and they like to define the narrative because the narrative for them is for them to win. Any one opposing corporate politicians, corporatists, whatever, the corporate media is going to be on their side. Each political party has their own corporate media backing them. So you're going to need more than just your media network to help you push along the message. You're going to need people like me. You're going to need people like Tim Black. You're going to need H.A. Goodman. You're going to have to convince them to be your allies. You're going to have to give coverage to them. You're going to have to make a big, massive effort to have independent media fight for you, to cover things, to go against the corporate media narrative, to get people involved, understand what the corporate media is doing, how they're supporting the corporatists, right? You can't keep fighting every battle on your own. And a lot of people remember what Cenk Uygur and TYT supported, who they supported after Bernie Sanders bowed out. Bernie Sanders even supported the Democratic nominee. So having independent media fight with you, you don't have to pay them. I'm pretty sure there's a few that just want extra viewership, that just want to help out. So you're going to need to have as much public media as possible rather than corporate media. I kind of missed out. So this is what I meant. So look at number 2, battles of corporate media narrative. So that's what you need. I'm going to show you a couple of things on the browser, and of course you can always look at them. First, I want go ahead and look up Justice Democrats if you're viewing this. Go ahead and read up on the platform, not just the wiki, but it's just really simple. You might want to actually go to the Twitter feed or something, that way you can just have the actual platforms that's mentioned rather than wikis, because wikis could be edited at some point by someone other than Justice Democrat. You've got number of registered Democrats, and to look at, you got, it's pretty low, just as Republicans. So this is kind of pointing more towards why you need a big independent voter base on your side, and also Republicans as well. Now, the whole corporate media narrative, right? If you look at this, it's just another wiki based off of the results of the 2016 election. You've got Jill Stein with 1.4 million votes, but just slightly over 1% of the total vote. But look at the corporate media narrative. Jill Stein's not to blame. Jill Stein defends Pennsylvania recount efforts. How Gary Johnson and Jill Stein helped elect Donald Trump by CNN. And what do presidential candidates know about science? Scientific American, like there's a lot of media coverage of Jill Stein being a doctor and not understanding science or something like that, right? So you don't want corporate media to define the narrative for your candidates, just like we didn't want them defining a narrative for Jill Stein. So that's going to be a very tough battle, and you're going to need it with an army of independent journalists, independent media. Those that understand journalism, cites their sources, doesn't fall into talking about the talking points of corporate media. Anyways, go ahead and give Justice Democrats a look. Hopefully this isn't going to be 2018, 2020 results. We're not going to re-elect a lot of incumbents back into office. Especially, I'm probably thinking that the approval ratings are going to be really low again. And focus on this list. Shore this up, because if you can do that, you're going to have a better chance at getting through what your platform is wanting to do. Okay?